So when I was back in high school, um, we had a circle of friends, and there's always there's always that one friend who will look out for you. And so we used to have bonfires, and this friend was older. Uh, he was a senior when we were sophomores, and he was obviously the only one of us that had a car and drove. And he and I used to drive around all the time and listen to music. And so one night, this other kid, one of my other friends, he invites us over for one of his bonfires. Um, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and there's a lot of history there that I can't even get into because I'm gonna start getting angry if I do. But this one case, um, if you want to call it, um, I she promised me that if she ever went to this kid's house without me or hung out with my friends without me, uh, she would tell me. She would at least text me and say, "Hey, I'm going to this guy's house," which some people might think is misogynistic of me or like too controlling. Um, but I mean, it was my first girlfriend, so obviously I don't want her to fall into somebody else's hands. You know what I mean? And I to go off on a quick tangent. We'll make it a quick tangent. Uh, I spent time talking like her mother. When we would hang out after school, cause she lived like very close to the school. We'd hang out in the basement before her parents got home and just kind of snuggle. And there was one day that I guess she was pissed because her mother was very worried that we were gonna have sex. Um, and I can understand that like protecting your child. Um, you know, it's different with men because your parent like you could tell your dad and he'd be proud that you had you know what I mean? Like it's but with women it's different because especially at that age we were both very young and she was worried that her daughter would get pregnant, and I spent time talking to her. She came downstairs complaining that her mother was all pissy about me being around, and I actually I'm gonna go upstairs and talk to your mother. And I went upstairs and I talked to her, and I made her cry because I was like, listen, if if something does happen, I'll I'll be protected. You know, I'll wear protection. I'm not stupid, and I don't want to do any damage to your family. Like if young teens do experiment, um, and it's an awkward time to be alive, like because your parents are always worried about shit. And so here we have two teens, and we're in a relationship, and I talked to her mother, and then her mother told me, all right, this tangent's going on a little bit longer. Uh, her mother told me um, some story about how her father, um, came here from Ireland, and He built ships. That's what he did, and he couldn't speak a word of English. Like he didn't really, people didn't understand him, I guess. Maybe he spoke Gaelic. There are details that I don't quite remember, but I don't know. That's like that's what he did. I mean, anyway, like she went off on the story, and it kind of made me cry inside a little bit. At the time, I didn't really like to reveal any feelings I may have had like that. Nowadays, I'll cry like a fucking baby over the most minuscule shit if you know. Uh, but anyway, so back to my friend. Um, so I show up to the bonfire. Everybody's hanging out. My girlfriend didn't text me anything. She didn't tell me she was going to be there. I had no idea she was going to be there. And so this kid had like chairs around the fire pit, and he had recently acquired a love seat. So me and my friend Joe, he gives me a ride. He picks me up. We go over there, and before we're all hanging out, um, there's a couple empty chairs, but on the love seat is my girlfriend and who I thought was my best friend. And he's got his arm around her and shit. And I just, before a word could come out of my mouth, she walks up to me and she's like, I told you I was going to be here. And I was like, no, you absolutely did not tell me you were going to be here. And it's like, that's even beside the point. Like, the fact that she would come up and have to like, oh shit, here's John, I gotta explain myself. Like, I mean, something's amiss. And the rest of my friends were kind of freaked out because I started throwing shit. I started getting fucking pissed. And I ended up just walking off. But here's where I'm talking about that one friend. There's always that one friend that you have that you can rely on. I'm walking away. I'm like halfway down the street. And, my friend Joe came there to have a good time, just like I did. We were going to have some drinks. He had an older sister who would get us alcohol. And, walking down the street, I hear a car, turn around. It's him. I'm on the driver's side where he pulled up. He goes, hey, hop in. Let's go drive around. And that's the most beautiful thing because he could have just stayed there and hung out and been like, oh, John's having a fucking tantrum or something. But no, he understood exactly what was going on. And he had my back. And he said, I'm going to go pick John up and we're going to go do our thing. And we just drove around and we listened to music. We listened to Metallica. I got my anger out. And I no longer talk to him. I haven't talked to him in years and years and years. But when you do something like that for somebody, when you stand up for them, that's very important. And it has a huge impact on that person. Because you feel like you have an ally. Instead of, being alone. And it's okay to be alone. Ask like a fucking wushu warrior. They don't need anybody defending them. But camaraderie has always been the biggest theme for me. The most important theme to me. Camaraderie. People standing up for each other. People working together. It's an amazing thing.